let's talk about the timing of the seals. I believe that they are spread out over most of the final 7-year period. Now, as a reminder, we get the idea of 7 years from Daniel 9:27, where it mentions that the Antichrist will confirm a covenant with many for a period of 7 years. It's also interesting to note that the first seal has an Antichrist figure in it. We have this rider that's going forth and conquering, and he has a bow with no arrows. Many believe that that means the Antichrist will come on the scene as a man of peace and negotiation, but he will show his colors later on at the midpoint of the final 7 years. It's also good to note that we may not know exactly who the Antichrist is immediately because he rises up among 10 world leaders. Some people imagine that the Antichrist will be reigning over the entire 7 years, but that's not actually true, because if you look at Revelation chapter 13, we find out that the Antichrist only has authority for 42 months to rule over the world. And that's going to be after the abomination of desolation, which happens at the midpoint of the final 7 years. That's where the Antichrist stands in a rebuilt temple and declares that he's God. We also find out in Revelation chapter 13 that the Antichrist is going to receive some kind of mortal wound and appear to possibly rise from the dead. There's going to be a lot of signs, wonders, and miracles. So we have no idea what that's going to look like yet, but it's going to be so powerful that most of the world is going to be fooled about the identity of the Antichrist. Once he reveals who he really is at the midpoint of the final 7 years, we find out that there's going to be a false prophet that also does signs, wonders, and miracles. There's going to be an image of the beast, a mark of the beast, and basically a pretty global system that is mandated for everyone. I know a lot of people think that we're in that time period now, but when I read Revelation 13, I'm not seeing huge miracles. I'm not seeing this leader that had a mortal head wound and seemed to rise from the dead. And I'm not seeing yet a time of mass delusion, because if you notice, there are riots going on. There's people resisting government mandates. I'm not sure what the percentage is. I don't know if it's 50-50 or 60-40, but I believe that a lot of people are definitely not enchanted in such a way where they are worshiping an Antichrist or false prophet person. But that's not the point of this video. I want to talk about where I think the timing of the 5th seal happens. So once the abomination of desolation occurs and all of these fake signs, wonders, and miracles happen, it's going to be a forced worship of the Antichrist. Obviously, Christian people are not going to do that, so the Bible describes a time of intense martyrdom for believers. Revelation 13:7 actually says that the beast was allowed to wage war against the saints and overcome them. So it makes sense that the 5th seal has a ton of martyrs that are crying out for God's vengeance. Within the pre-wrath rapture perspective, that time of vengeance comes at the 6th seal when God raptures his people and pours out his wrath upon the world.